Well, welcome back. North Dakota here at Frost tonight to battle with the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State in a game, Jim Thompson, that is very, very important for both concerns.
I know that Gene Zalk felt before this weekend started that this was must-win time, and of course it's almost too simplified to even say it. The Jacks were down with a 3-2 mark. They needed a win. Of course, the University of North Dakota, the team they're playing tonight, was in the race, but especially North Dakota State. The Bison last night came to Frost Arena with a 4-0 record. If the Jacks won tonight but lose last night, then it wouldn't have mattered because somebody had to beat the Bison, and the Jacks decided, hey, this is the time. We've got to knuckle down and do it, and they did just that. They won it by 9 points. Pretty good crowd here last night to appreciate that victory against the Bison, and tonight about that many and more are turned out to hope that the University of North Dakota Fighting Sioux follow that same route as far as the Jackrabbits are concerned, and there's quite a few faithful I see from North Dakota down to help their club inspire to a win also, because now there's about, what, 5 teams in the race, and the Jacks
go right down to the wire again.
Jackrabbits are just a half game out of first place.
And hello to you too. And wherever you may be watching across the great state of South Dakota, here on the South Dakota Public Television Network. They sliced up a few pounds of hog here tonight, too. They had the park barbecue. Just between the girls' game, which you just saw, there was a high school basketball game, by the way, in which Hamlin County defeated James Valley Christian 75-49. Mark Tetzlaff, being touted by some as the best high school player in South Dakota, scored 27 points, had 24 rebounds, so leading Hamlin to the win. You know, Jim, we talked about last night's South Dakota State win over North Dakota State. Interesting to note that with 3 minutes to go in that game, it was tied 58-58. And really, the Jackrabbits had their backs to the wall, literally, as we talked about, needing a win to stay in the conference race. They outscored the Bison 12-3 over the last 3 minutes of that game to claim the victory. It was a little bit of a different story for the Sioux last night down at the Sioux Falls Arena against Augustana. The Vikings just never got anything going.
You were at that ball game, so you'll be able to talk with some authority about the way this game goes tonight.
Well, I was very impressed with the Sioux last night. They're a very strong physical basketball team, and they've got a lot of people that are very, very capable. We talk about Clausen, Iverson, Bakken, Harris. They are all very strong players. Say hi to everybody, too, there. And as we see the Jackrabbits come back. On the other hand, also, Augustana did not play very good basketball last night. So, again, it shapes up as being a very, very big game. The Sioux and the Jackrabbits right in the thick of a conference race. The Jackrabbits at 4-2. Their losses in the NCC have come to Morningside on the road in a game they felt they could have won easily. And they lost to UNO. They have beaten USD, Augie, North Dakota State, and Northern Colorado. Interestingly enough, North Dakota's only loss game at Morningside, also in a very close game. They have won in the conference over USD, UNO, UNC, and Augustana.
6 of the South Dakota State 8 losses have been under 10 points, Tom, so that is significant in the fact that they have taken some tough losses. Meanwhile, the University of North Dakota, with 4 losses, have lost 3 times by scores of 1, 2, or 3 points. The only double-digit deficit was at Northern Illinois. They got beat 70-56. Might just mention, we're going to get caught up, I'm sure, in the excitement of this ball game, the large crowd that's on hand, and we may not get a chance to mention it, and since it was last night and we didn't get a chance to broadcast that one, we need to point out that Steve Lingenfelter last night needed just 3 points in order to go over 1,000 points in his career scoring at South Dakota State, and he did that. He scored 17 points. It was not the best night perhaps that he might have had, but 17 points puts him at 1,014 points now that he has scored. It was his 48th game as a Jackrabbit player. Maybe you remember last winter, Jim Walker also went over 1,000, but he took it in 57 games. Nobody else has ever made it in less than 60. So Steve Lingenfelder, King Ling, I guess. I don't know if they still call him that, but he's done a fine job. Superior job for the Jackrabbits, and last night reached that 1,000-point plateau.
And he, of course, is going to be a key in this game tonight. He was in foul trouble last night. That has been his biggest bugaboo this season. In fact, since he has joined the Jackrabbits, the only thing that has held Steve Lingenfelder back is foul troubles. Last night he was in trouble against North Dakota State, managed to score 17 points. It's hard to keep him from getting 15 points in a game. I think that's where a team will draw the line, though. If you can hold Lingenfelder to 15 points, you got to feel like you're doing your job.
The 17 last night undoubtedly is going to lower his average, perhaps, but in the Sporting News last week, he was not in there this week, but in last week's issue, he was number 6 in the nation in small college scoring leaders.
Okay, let's meet the Fighting Sioux of North Dakota. First of all, as 6'2" junior and a guard from De La Salle High School in Chicago, Aaron Harris. He will team with Doug Moe, a 6'2" senior from Duluth East. At the forwards, Jim Iverson from North Crawford High School in Soldiers Grove, Wisconsin, 6'4" and a senior. The other forward, 6'7" senior from Fargo, North Bakken in the center. Dan Clausen, leading scorer, leading rebounder for the Sioux, 6'7" and a junior out of Omaha-Benson. The Sioux are coached by Dave Gunther, of course, who has won over 200 games in his tenure with the Sioux and has never had a losing season. For the Jackrabbits, they will start at guards tonight. First of all, we're going to have our junior Jack.
Yep.
All right, I like that program. It's got to be the thrill of his life go out there and give the high five to the Rabbit. Starting at one guard from Hampton, Iowa, a 6-foot sophomore, Phil Jorgensen. At the other guard, John Elwood Brown, 6-foot junior from Hamlin High School. Hails from Bryant. At the forwards from Chisholm, Minnesota, 6'5" senior Paul McDonald. At the other forward from Fairmont, Minnesota, at 6'9" and a junior Bob Winsenberg. And the center, the man they call King Ling from Thomas Jefferson High School in Bloomington, Minnesota, Steve Lingenfelder.
That little guy, probably, as you said, the highlight of his life. He was out there starstruck, probably didn't even know where to go from that moment, but that's an exciting time and a good program, the Junior Jack program.
There's Dave Gunther and his assistant.
You told me this is the man that played basketball with Wilt Chamberlain?
Right. He is 43 years old, a native of Lamars, Iowa. 1959, played with the Detroit Pistons. 1962 with the San Francisco Warriors. His finest year in North Dakota, 1976-77, the Sioux are 26-4. Names like Chris Marbach, Mike Doilik, Fred Lukens, and also a young freshman at that time, Jim Iverson, the only remaining man still with the Sioux. Tip is controlled. Bang around. Clausen finally gets it. He'll give it to Todd Bakken.
Lead in the NCC, or at least a good share of it early in the season.
Here's the high lob pass inside. They want to go to Bakken, but Winsenberg will be there to knock it out of bounds. So the game is 12 seconds old. The Sioux will play it in from underneath their own basket. Iverson into Moe. Now back out front to Aaron Harris, who was superb last night against Doggy. He had 27 points, and he's going for it right now. Partially blocked. Lingenfelder still went in. I think he got a finger on it on the way up, and Harris got a kind roll on the first basket of the game. 2-zip the Sioux. Jackrabbits looking at some half-court pressure now applied by the Sioux. Brown around the perimeter to Jorgensen. Inside, stolen. As Clausen will tip it away and steal it from Steve Lingenfelder. Moe quickly down to Aaron Harris. Around the perimeter to Iverson. Back out front to Moe. Pass to the wing. Iverson has the ball knocked out of his hands from behind. Clausen picks it up, averaging 18 points, 12 rebounds. Our officials, Pat Millett of Blair, Nebraska, Tom Peralt of St. Paul. Shot way short, no good by Harris. Here come the Rabbits out on the run. 3 on 2, but now the Sioux will get back. Jorgensen from downtown, no good. Rebound is picked out of there by Bakken. Now to Moe. The Sioux, I guess, have become known in the past couple of years, especially under Dave Gunther, as a team that likes to be patient on offense and a team that lives on good, solid defense. Bakken from atop the free line got it. So Todd Bakken has given the Sioux a 4-0 lead. A minute 40 seconds into the game.
Bakken averaging 13 points a game. Clausen 19.3. He's the leading scorer for the Sioux.
Sioux will play sagging man-to-man against the Jackrabbits. Winsenberg, 20. Good. Winzenberg, who can hit him for the weeds, and he can take it in and slam with the best of them. Gets the Rabbits on the board.
He's a 13.5 scorer on the season.
He has averaged about 12 points every time he's put on a uniform for South Dakota State. He has started every game since he stepped on campus. Here's Iverson. The Doug Moe will fire. This one's going to be off. Lingenfelder battling for the board, and he stepped out of bounds. As you see, he tried to bounce the ball off the leg of Iverson, but Iverson just spread his legs, let the ball go right through. So now the Sioux, dressed in their traveling green, of course, as was the women's team, play it in. That ball was off the leg of John Brown and went out of bounds.
Brown didn't want to accept that. Went over and talked to the official, not great length.
Here's Harris, top of the key, working on McDonald. Gets in the lane, puts it up, no good. Big board for Lingenfelder. Outlet Brown, they got a man. It's Winzenberg under the basket. Good.
Nice play for Johnny Brown on the assist. He led well, and Winzenberg took advantage of it, went high, and put it down to tie it with 17:15 to play in the half.
That'll tell you something about the speed of Winzenberg filling that lane. He was out like a shot. Tied at 4. Moe gives back to Harris. Jackrabbits starting out in a man-to-man. Actually, they'll leave Lingenfelder primarily in the middle of the lane. Now they get the ball to Harris. He's in trouble in the lane. We'll give it back out front to Moe. Top of the key. Good. Doug Moe, perhaps the best outside shooter for the Sioux, at 6'2" and a senior. Puts North Dakota on top by a basket at 6'4". Winzenberg, bounce inside. McDonald, back out to Jorgensen. Quick move, can't get a shot up. To Winzenberg, where the Sioux playing tight man-to-man. They'll press that offense out as high as they possibly can. Jorgensen on the dribble, guarded by Moe. Rabbits looking to free somebody. They got Winzenberg.
Nice
he
play.
shoots it up and in. Bob Winzenberg has all 6 of the Rabbit points, and we're tied again at a half dozen each. Working down to the 16-minute mark to go here in the first half. This is Moe. Harris inside, foul, Winzenberg. Winzenberg nods his head, agreeing. Number 44, Bob Winzenberg.
First foul of the contest, 15:56 remaining here in the half. Boy, this is going to be a good one, Tom. If trading baskets the way they have is any indication of the rest of the game.
Inbounds Moe. Quickly inside, trying to move Bakken. Can't do it. Back out to Moe. They'll leave him open for just a second. That's all the time he needs. 4 points, Doug Moe. 8-6 to Sioux. Jorgensen on the dribble. Comes up high to Lingenfelder. Lingenfelder and Clausen. What a matchup that is. Jorgensen, great move. Well, Jorgensen, his first basket. He has moved into the starting spot that Jim Going held for a long time for the Rabbits.
He took that place when Paul McDonald moved to a forward position.
All right, McDonald could play either. Turnaround, Bakken. It will stay. And that was not an easy shot. He had a hand in his face all the way. And the Sioux maintain that 2-point lead, 10-8. Jorgensen, high left wing, Brown. Baseline, Winzenberg. Jorgensen. Cross to McDonald. He may have walked.
Traveled
He
with
did.
it, yeah. Well, there haven't been a lot of turnovers in this game, but that was a costly one for the Jacks with a 2-point deficit now and 5 minutes into this ball game. They'd like to keep it tight, even though they realize that they can add a lot of points along the way.
Dave Gunther seated right next to him, Rod Merriam. We're going to see a lot of him tonight. Last year's Mr. Basketball, for those of you who happened to tune in a couple of weeks ago when we had a televised game from the Dome, as Harris hit, or rather has it go in and out. Clausen will get the foul on the rebound. He's the one pushed John Brown all the way back to Hamlin County.
He wanted the foul called on McDonald, and you see there, of course, the mustache makes him look a little meaner maybe, but he was not going to take that without a word to the official. 14:41 remaining in the half, 10-8. The lead belongs to the Sioux, and the Jacks have the ball and a chance to tie it.
Talking about Merriam, he played a great game down against the U. Ball tipped away. Laws picked up traveling on Iverson.
There's Gary Esbolt, the assistant coach, on his knee there, and Gene Zolk now comes off the bench, wants to talk to his players as the Jacks turned it over on a bad pass.
Of course, last night's game a must for the Jackrabbits. Somebody had to knock off the Bison. As he talked about it in a pregame. Jacks were the ones that did it. Here's Winsenberg inside Lingenfelder. Lost it.
Surprising.
Got it back. Threw it up. No good. And a traveling call is made.
Well, the fans here, partisan as you might expect, did not want to accept that call, but Lingenfelder was in the lane quite a while, just was not able to hang on to it. I think he was ready to clear the boards.
He was also in a real danger of being in the lane too long. Doug Moe, not to be confused with the coach of the Denver Nuggets, will set sail again. This one won't stay. Big battle for the board. Last touched by Iverson.
Iverson has been charging through there. It looked like he might come away with the offensive board for a minute, but he had Winsenberg all over him and not able to get a good handle on it. Knocks it out of bounds.
There's the high lob. Too high for Winsenberg. As Jorgensen put that in the air about 40 feet, trying to hit Winsenberg out of the basket. It was a little too high.
The scoring pace has slowed down a little bit. They were hitting about trading turns down the court. Now it's been 10-8 for a minute or so.
Harris looking inside for Clausen. Can't get it to him. Around the perimeter it goes. Now off to Harris. He likes to work his way in. Reed checked it down, play out of bounds. Lingenfelder batted that one up into the fourth row. Steve Lingenfelder. Pass made high up top to Harris. To Moe. North Dakota Sioux finished second in the Holiday Basketball Tournament, losing to Augustana. How ironic that has turned out to be. Now it is the Sioux, not the Vikings, battling for the conference lead as Bakken will hit again. He's off to a good start with 6 of the 12 points the Sioux have scored. 12-8, 13-15 to go first half, and the Sioux now in a 2-1-2 with Clausen keeping a special eye on number 5-0. Here's John Brown. Good.
Well, it's tough to stop Johnny Brown from out there. He comes from a good line of outside shooters and has done a super job. He had 18 points the other night in a Rabbit win.
Here's Moe. Took a good long look at it. Didn't take it. Now back to Harris, and the Sioux will be patient with it.
They have not had an easy shot. Only one shot actually in the 6-foot perimeter.
Pocket offensive foul. He pushed Phil Jorgensen trying to get the ball into the lane. First foul on Bakken, second team.
It's only the third whistle total on fouls for the ball game, one on the Jacks.
So the Rabbits will traverse the hard court in search of a tie. Jorgensen in the high right wing. Deep corner, pass, Brown across to Jorgensen, 20-footer, no good. Winsenberg, same motion, got it in. 8 points, Winsenberg off to a good start.
He was all alone.
We're tied at 12. Here's Clausen in the corner. Back out front to Iverson. Neither Lingenfelder or Clausen have scored. Big rolling hook shot from long range. No good by Clausen. Brown out on the dribble. Down to McDonald. Pass in, tipped away. And a foul on Lingenfelder.
Lingenfelder rolling through that lane sent Dan Clausen onto his back and sliding out of bounds. That was probably an unintentional, obviously, foul, but nonetheless, Ling gets his first.
Second team against the Jackrabbits. Sioux play it in. 89-53. They demolished Augustana last night.
Augie did not have a good night, obviously.
Well, they certainly did. Iverson hits it.
That's his first scoring of the night.
Iverson, the only remnant left of that 76-77 team they had at North Dakota. He played as a freshman. In fact, started for a while as a freshman, then transferred to Wisconsin-Eau Claire, then came back to North Dakota. Brown, good. Boy, he gets that shooting eye. There's almost no limitation on his range.
You bet. They're going to use him while he's hot, and he has a good chance to be hot for a long time.
14-14. Harris top of the key. Both teams doing their damage from long range, interestingly enough. Here's Bakken rolling, hooks it up, no good, tip, good by Clausen.
Nice play, and that's the first scoring for Dan Clausen.
But he just muscled that one in. Good look at Gene Zolk and his assistant, Gary Espol.
Not been a season that Gene Zolk would like to remember. They've lost, as we said, 6 of their 8 games have been in 10 points or fewer.
And Lingenfelder reverse layup is good. The foul is on Bakken. Nice move by Lingenfelder. Realized he was a little bit too far under to shoot it from the side he wanted to. Instead came around. and got the basket, and the foul on Bakken is his second.
Official talking to Todd Bakken in the lane before he gives the ball to Lingenfelder to try to complete that three-point play.
Lingenfelder's free throw is good, and the Rabbits have the lead.
That's their first lead of the night.
17-16 with 10:50 to go in the first half. Now the Rabbits will put a little half-court pressure on. Harris is across it. Now tries to weave his way in. Rabbits want a carrying the ball call. Up frantically off the bench. It's funny to see one entire section of people making a signal for carrying the ball.
Well, he did a good job. Harris did a good job to get rid of the pressure on him.
This is Moe inside Bakken. Working on Lingenfelder. It is offensive. You can tell what the Sioux are trying to do. They're trying to get Lingenfelder in foul trouble.
Yep.
Taking it down low to work on him. And instead, Bakken now has three, and he is going to take a hasty retreat.
John Sonat getting set to come in.
Sonat, a very, very interesting story about that young man, 6'8" and a junior, born in Ankara, Turkey. His sponsors at the American school in Turkey were from Larimore, North Dakota. And I imagine they had a hand in his deciding to come to North Dakota to play basketball. McDonald from way outside, good. That was a three-pointer, folks.
That was a long shot, you bet.
4 of the 5 starters have scored for the Rabbits, and that is their biggest lead at 19-16. And Dave Gunther is up off the bench. He is calling timeout. With 10 minutes and 3 seconds to go in the first half of play, North Dakota led for about the first 9 minutes of the game. Now it's the Rabbits, 19-16. How's it coming through, all right?
My mic is loud as Tom's.
Yeah, but I can't really hear myself that well. If you can turn this up at all. Okay. So I can hear Thompson great. Yeah, pretty wise timeout, I think, by Dave Gunther. It's about, you played half the half, 10 minutes of the half. It's a good time to take a break anyway, as you see one of the bands, a couple, 2, 3, 4, maybe even a dozen here or so.
About 4,000.
But his team had just lost the lead. The Jackrabbits were just beginning to go on a little bit of a roll, and he wasted no time calling timeout.
It was 11-4 at that spurt. The Jacks were down 12-8, and now they lead 19-16 with just 10 minutes and now under going in the first half.
We will have a final on the Augustana game. Of course, by the time that you hear this, that game will be long over, but we will have one before the end of this telecast is over. Crucial game down there, Vikings against NDSU.
This could be a night for Augie to be back on.
Moe off a good screen by Sonat. It's his 6th point. 19-18. It was a fine year. 9.5 minutes to play. Winsenberg. Extremely high left wing. Jorgensen. And we got an offensive foul on Lingenfelder. And I can't hardly believe that he could push Dan Clausen down, but he did. Clausen is big and strong. He might come up for an Emmy or two after that performance.
Gary Esbolt, the assistant coach for the Jacks, talking to the official as he walks by.
Rod Merriam getting set to check in now for the Sioux. The All-Stater from Huron, who went north for college. Shot up no good by Moe. Rebound saved nicely by Iverson, but he was on the line.
Tough break. Here comes Rod Merriam. Of course, he was one of the best players in the Eastern South Dakota Conference, a tough high school conference in South Dakota, and was named, as you have referred several times, the Mr. Basketball in the state of South Dakota last year. And he's done a lot of playing up there.
Right, all 3 Mr. Basketballs were in the NCC. Clausen, beautiful save, but again, he can't save it. Clausen really playing tight D on Lingenfelder. He is about 3/4 fronting him and hoping for some weak side help. So far, it's worked. Lingenfelder has not been able to get the ball down low, save once.
And that worked for 3.
There you see Sonat coming over on the weak side to help out on Lingenfelder as Clausen is out on him. McDonald on the dribble. Cross to Winsenberg. High lob pass. Well, it wasn't that high of a lob. It was just wide.
McDonald was going the other way.
So the Sioux have a chance to take the lead.
This is their second trip down the court with a chance to do that. 8.5 minutes to play in the first half.
Iverson, Merriam, Moe, Sonat. Back out to Iverson. Merriam inside, Clausen, back out Iverson. Shot is no good, and Phil Jorgensen, just about the small span on the floor, gets the board. Pass inside, tip, stolen. Boy, Clausen went up there with some intensity to grab that thing down.
This is their third try now to take the lead. It's taken about a minute and a half, but nobody scored since the Jacks took a 19-18 lead.
Clausen back to Sonat. One hand's no good. Sonat making a foul, coming
Reaching
up
over
top.
the back. Yep. Came in a little too strong over the back.
So that is the first foul on John Sonat. It is the 5th team called against the Sioux. 215
pounds. I don't know if I'd like him hanging over my back too long in a basketball game.
Well, he has made a vast amount of improvement since we saw him play as a freshman. There's the lob for Lingenfelder. Good. Nice pass by McDonald.
Well, that was a long pass. Paul McDonald has pretty good sights on there. That's 5th point of the game for Lingenfelder.
Gives the Jacks a 3-point lead, 21-18. Merriam, top of the key, good.
Rod Merriam's the kind of a guy got a quick release. He's awfully difficult to stop.
Wonder if you can figure out how to get that on. Put it in your hand, Derek. Those foam rubber number 1.
She said a 1-point game's not interesting enough. I've got to figure out how to work this gadget.
Brown across to Jorgensen, inside Lingenfelder, good again. Now Lingenfelder showing a little more movement inside. He's rolling that lane.
That looked like a chest maneuver from Brown to Jorgensen and right on in underneath the Lingenfelder. That was patterned.
Checkmate.
That's right. It sure was.
Here's Clausen. Fakes. He wants a closer shot. He gets it, but he misses. Gets his own board, and he's going to get it, and it counts. And Lingenfelder has got 3 fouls.
Uh-oh.
That is just exactly what Dave Gunther wanted to happen. Steve Lingenfelder, the old foul bugaboo, coming back to haunt him again.
Lingenfelder, a couple of times there, he was just slapping, trying to stop it, and actually there was a situation, was that a continuation move or not? Difficult to gather, but the official gave it, and so it's a possible 3-point play for Clausen that could tie it.
A couple substitutions now. Clausen does tie the game with his free throw at 23-23. The Jackrabbits are going to call timeout. They're going to have a little bit of different strategy now as Jorgensen is out. Lingenfelder has picked up his 3rd foul. 6:52 to go first half, and we are all tied at 23 apiece.
Upcoming men's games. Do I have that up here somewhere? Where's the men's games? The men's games.
Where are they? Where are they? Here's some of the things that are going to be coming up in the coming weeks on public television.
Our next broadcast for the men's basketball here on public television in South Dakota next Saturday, February 7th. University of Northern Colorado will be at Frost Arena in Brookings for a game against the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State. You will see the delayed broadcast of that Saturday night, 10:30 Central Time, and that ought to be quite a ball game. Saturday, 10:30, February 7th, UNC and South Dakota State.
Now the Jackrabbits set to play it in. They've got Brian Omlet in for Steve Lingenfelder. They have Mike Pajong, the freshman who has really come on strong from Mitchell, is in now. This is Pajong, really sagging off him. McDonald, they're not sagging on him. To Brown. High cross court. Pajong, 20-footer, no good. Clausen, the leading rebounder in the North Central Conference, went up and brought that one down. Inside, great pass by Merriam to Iverson. Merriam looked the defense away and then hit Iverson with a nice pass, and the Sioux are back on top by 2.
4 points for Iverson. By the way, Clausen's averaging 12 rebounds a game.
McDonald over to Brown, gets one man in the air, goes cross court to Pachon, to McDonald. to Brown. Sioux really clogging up the inside. They're also managing to come out and pressure the wings pretty good. John Brown right down the bottom of the stock.
3 in a row from that same location for John Brown. You practically put an X on the court where he shot from all 3 times.
So now the Sioux will be back down the floor looking to take the lead again. Miriam in the same motion pass. Bashar tried to save it but couldn't.
Well, the Sioux's biggest lead has been 4, and the Jacks' biggest lead has been 3. And now we're tied at 5:38 left in the first half.
Here's Sonat in the corner. Moe, Miriam, Sonat, Iverson. Back up top to set it up all over again. Working against the 2-1-2. Inside Sonat. Turnaround Sonat. Good.
Nice
Gets it
play.
off the glass and in.
That's the 7th player for the Sioux to get on the scoring column.
27-25 North Dakota by a basket. Here's Brown again. It is off this time. Rebound slapped high out front. Miriam just about runs one of the cheerleaders into the brass section. Trying to get that ball back, but it'll belong to South Dakota State. Clausen will come out for North Dakota.
Very gentlemanly move, however, as he did not push her into the stands. He hung on so she didn't fall down and also kept himself from going out. There's a nice hand for Johnny Brown as he comes out.
And Phil Jorgensen will be in to replace it. Mark Jelassic in for North Dakota. Top of the key. McDonald hits it. 4 points, Paul McDonald. 27-all. Jelassic, a 6'5 junior out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and he is a big lad. He has the ball on the baseline right now. Miriam up top to Moe. In case you just tuned in, Steve Lingenfelder picked up his 3rd foul with 7 minutes to go, and again it is Sonat who hits the turnaround. He is on the bench for South Dakota State. Brown just got out to get a few instructions. He's coming right back in, my guess for Prashant. Jorgensen, McDonald, back to PJ from 22. Good! And the Rabbits have been swinging the bell from long range.
Both teams actually have hit pretty well, although the Jacks have been out farther. And the score is tied with 4 minutes to play in the half.
29-29. Free throw line, Iverson looking for the give and go. Gives to Moe. He'll shoot it. It's no good. Winsenberg with a big board. To Jorgensen. 3-on-2. Down inside. Beautiful steal by Miriam.
Boy, nice play.
Now he runs it the other way. 2-on-2 fast break. Miriam gives it off. Iverson on the run. Missed it. Rebound for Sean. Vachon quickly up to Winsenberg. Now they'll slow it down.
Miriam stole that the way you were talking about Lester Hayes for the Oakland Raiders with Stickum on his fingers. That was supposed to go through him.
That pass had some velocity on it, too.
3.5 minutes left in the first half, and our score remains tied at 29.
McDonald again for long-range good.
Bingo!
Boy, and the Rabbits continue to shoot phenomenally from the outside.
McDonald has hit 3 from that same location, just the same as Johnny Brown got his 3 from up on the other left wing.
Boy, North Dakota, you know, you can't feel too badly. You're pressing their offense way outside, and they're beating you with 22, 25-footers. Jelassic in the lane, blocked by Winsenberg, but a foul is called.
Who got it, McDonald or Win?
No, I think it's going to be on Sonat.
Oh, offensive.
It is. Pushing foul on Sonat in the lane.
So with 2:58 remaining here in the half, it's a 31-29 lead for the Jacks. They've scored 4 straight points. John Brown in the ball game for the Jackrabbits now after getting a brief rest. And as you mentioned, Tom, he did come in for Mike Pichon. So with less than 3 minutes to go, the officials from the bench now are calling the referee over to the bench to get some discussion. No, they wanted him to pick up a pen that they dropped.
Well, that was nice of them.
Here's Clausen getting off the bench for the Sioux and getting ready to check back in at the next opportunity. McDonald hurrying the 10-second clock, but not much.
Brown down to Winsenberg in the corner. Out front, McDonald. Brown, Winsenberg. Really some battling going on inside between Oblid and Jelassic. McDonald gives off to Brown again.
Yeah, a little physical inside. Still is.
Jackrabbits could feel fortunate if they could take a lead to the locker room.
They've used up about a minute on the clock since they took that 2-point lead. There's Brown from his magic spot. Doesn't take it.
Across it goes. Jorgensen drives the lane. Wants to give to Winzenberg, but he's fouled. Jelassic fouled.
That Jorgensen, he's kind of a magician with the ball. You don't notice Phil as much as you might some of the others. It's easy to lose him, his 6-foot sophomore, amidst all the giants, Winzenberg and Lingenfelder and McDonald.
At the free throw line, Phil Jorgensen. His free toss is short. There's a look at the sophomore from Hampton, Iowa, Phil Jorgensen. His second one is there.
2 out of 3 from the free throw line tonight for the Jacks.
His 5th point of the contest, 32-29. Jacks by 3, working our way down to the 2-minute mark to go in the first half. Jelassic wants to give to Harris, keeps it instead, and travels with it.
There was a situation where Jelassic was run into by both one of his own teammates and Phil Jorgensen, who was guarding him, and he moved. I don't know that Dave Gunther appreciated the call.
Oh, he is upset. He is well off the bench. The crowd is screaming, give me a tee. Give him a tee, give him a tee. Now we're going to go over and get a little friendly advice. So sit down. Dave Gunther's not picking it. There it is. And that will put this crowd to its feet. A technical foul on Dave Gunther.
I have a feeling he intended that one, Tom. I think he wanted to stir up his boys a little bit. They're going to put Brian McDonald at the free throw line, but I'm sure as he was talking, to watch that develop, he had every opportunity to go back.
Well, you had a great shot of him. The discussion with the referee, he gave him every opportunity to turn around and go back to the bench, but Gunther didn't do it. And finally, he said, all right, fine, sir. He gave him the upside-down timeout. McDonald, one of the best free throw shooters in the history of the school, will get 2, of course, with a technical being on the bench. 7 points for McDonald. He can give the Jacks their biggest lead. He does. 8 points for McDonald, and that is as close as he's been to the basket for any of his points. At the 16-foot mark. 34-29. Jacks will get the ball to boot.
Now, Winzenberg and McDonald 8 each. Lingenfelder with 7 and John Brown with 6. They've spread it around pretty good.
Very balanced scoring. McDonald. Wouldn't be surprised to see the Rabbits run some time off now. Brown weaving through the pack. Foul. Miriam trying to fight through the screen. Fouls McDonald. That is the first foul on Miriam, and we are into the 1-and-1.
And again, the person you might not want to be there for the automatic 2, Paul McDonald. Averaging 13 points the ball game.
He has had some fine games. He's averaging 13 points a game for all of the games, but he's averaging about 19 a game in the North Central. He was 3rd coming into this week.
He has averaged playing over 40 minutes per game, considering overtime.
That's right. That's no small feat.
He has been sitting out a total of only less than 3 minutes the entire NCC season.
He's been an Iron Man. 36-29. Rabbits now by 7. Boy, Iverson was pushed from behind to the free throw line. Rabbits got away with one there. Jorgensen stops, gives to Winzenberg, lost it, got it back, threw it away. Was it touched?
Yes.
No.
Well, they say by Brown.
Brown did touch it. None of the Sioux touched it, though. Big John Sonut, all 6 feet 8 inches of him, up to take the ball out of bounds. Miriam now with 1:20. Iverson, right wing. Sonut gives right back to Miriam. Stops, falling away for the basket. Good. That is an incredibly difficult shot.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you've not seen him before, that's why he was selected Mr. Basketball among all high school athletes last year in South Dakota.
He's the boy of Alan Waddell to Miriam, who lives down there in the southeast part of town on Kansas Street in Huron.
Hello, Mom.
I'm sure they're here tonight.
You can count on it.
I know they were at the arena last night when North Dakota played Augustana. 36-31, 45 seconds left. Sioux stripped the ball away from McDonald. Big steal by Aaron Harris.
Gene Zulk glaring at the official. He thought it was a foul on them. Well, they're going to want that one shot left, I think, Tom. They're going to take it easy on that patient offense and try to get to within 3 to the locker room.
So here comes the weave. Running through the man-to-man offense.
20 seconds left and counting down now. 17 seconds. 15.
Miriam with the ball.
12 seconds.
Being guarded by Brown. What time to start making a move to the basket.
8 seconds.
Sonat will shoot it and hit it. 6 points for Sonat. 3, 2, McDonald at the horn. It is just a little bit short, but he had a good shot at that one. Boy, we've had an exciting first half of play in a key North Central Conference game from Frost Arena on the campus of South Dakota State. Our halftime score, the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State lead the Fighting Sioux of the University of North Dakota 36-33. We'll be right back with the second half. Back a couple of categories, but they're also ahead in one of the dubious categories. Jim, let's look at those first half stats.
Well, the field goal percentage for the University of North Dakota, 16 out of 30. They hit 53%. That's not bad. But South Dakota State canned 15 of 19 attempts, 79% shooting. That's phenomenal, especially from the outside. That's really nail-biting when they hit them that far out, and they did it with consistency. Free throws, University been there just one time, 1 for 1 for 100%. State has missed just 1 out of 7, 86% accuracy. The rebounding, this is the phenomenal statistic. State leads 14-5 on the boards. It's not really been a good night for rebounding for the University. And in the turnovers, that's the one that you said dubious that the State leads in. They've got 11 and 3 on UND. So that's the first half statistics. Notably, 79% shooting for State. They've missed just 4 out of 19 from the floor.
Right, and the turnovers balance it out the other way. That takes care of the rebounding advantage, the shooting advantage, and you throw all the stats into a grinder, and it comes out 36-33.
It was a 7-point lead at one point, Tom, 36-29. Lingenfelder picked up his third foul, and all of a sudden down court comes Rod Merriam, gets some help. Who was that scored those? Sonat got 3 field goals late in the first half. That helped everybody out, and now it's a 3-point game, 36-33. A real crucial play near the end of that first half with about 30 seconds left. Paul McDonald lost the ball, went to the middle of the key, and I'm sure that Coach Gene Zolk was very disappointed. He expected a foul to be called. It wasn't. The steal for Harris led to a basket for the Sioux, and it put them instead of 5 points down, 3 points down as they come back to start this second half.
Individually in the first half, Paul McDonald led State with 10 points. He's the only man on the floor in double figures. 8 for Bob Winzenberg, 7 for Steve Lingenfelder. And I'm going to get the official playing time. I guess they don't have minutes played listed on the halftime sheet, but I know he sent out the last 7 minutes of the half after picking up his 3rd personal foul. 6 points for John Brown, 5 points for Bill Jorgensen. North Dakota scoring very balanced, 6 apiece for Todd Bakken and Doug Moe, 5 for Dan Clausen, 4 for John Sonat, Rod Merriam, and Jim Iverson, and 2 points for Aaron Harris. And we are set to go. The tip-off for the second half is controlled by North Dakota. They will be traveling left to right on your screen in the second half in their traveling green uniforms. Should say 6 points for Sonat. There was the rejection underneath the basket. Bakken lost it. Headed for the lane. He lost it. So the Jackrabbits starting as they started the game with Jorgensen, Brown, Winzenberg, Lingenfelder, and McDonald. North Dakota also starting as they started the game. Inside Lingenfelder, got a man up in the air, had it partially blocked, hit, lost by Harris, picked up by McDonald, and we got a foul called.
Or a jump ball.
Or a jump ball, one or the other. What's it going to be?
I think they're going to jump it.
All right. I thought he pointed at Harris as if to signal a foul. Well, McDonald sure thinks it should have been a foul.
He's looking into the crowd, trying to get a little sympathy from the crowd. Harris did a good job of getting to it after the ball. In fact, he lost the ball once and got back to tie it up.
So the tip up, and it is snapped, controlled by North Dakota. Actually, McDonald won the tip.
He had everybody behind him and tapped it forward.
So the Sioux with a chance to get to within 1 point.
They've scored 4 straight, going back into the beginning of the first half, or into the first half, rather.
Bakken is open for 15. He'll get it. 8 points for Todd Bakken. 36-35, a minute into the second half. Jorgensen to Winzenberg on the high left wing. Back to Brown. Jorgensen trying to set up Lingenfelder. Can't do it. Gives it to Winzenberg. To John Brown underneath McDonald. Working, faking, pumping, and we've got what?
Foul on
Clausen.
He does not like it.
Cannot believe it. He was playing about as good as defense as possible inside.
Shakes his head, but he's got a lot of respect for Paul McDonald, and you can understand why if you're defending against him. He's an outstanding basketball player.
McDonald put on every herky-jerky move he learned from way back playing for the Chisholm Blue Streaks, trying to get that one up. And gets the free throw. He continues his great free throw shooting. He's like a machine from the line.
5 in a row from there now in this ball game.
Second one is also good. Got a big score on North Dakota State and Augustana. Just flashed right by. It's got to be late in the game down there.
Augustana has the lead over North Dakota State. They tell us late in the game. I don't have the score except that they're behind.
That would be a monumental upset. Clausen in the lane. Gives off to Iverson. Takes one dribble. Now will take the shot. Too strong. Tipped up in the air. Finally grabbed by who? Jorgensen comes out of there with it.
6-foot sophomore.
Ahead to John Brown. Lays to Lingenfelder. Good. It counts for the foul. A good bucket.
Uh-oh, boy, I tell you.
He could not establish that position inside, and he is furious.
He wasn't very pleased. Iverson down on one knee right under the basket, too. Neither one appreciated that call. But the
Beautiful
Jacks
pass.
have a chance to go up by 6.
Beautifully done for Brown to Lingenfelder. 9 points for Steve Lingenfelder. 4 personal fouls against Todd Baca. We're going to see a lot of John Sonat in the second half. The 3-point play completed by Lingenfelder. It is now a 41-35 game.
10 points for Steve Lingenfelder to join Paul McDonald in double figures. Paul's got 12, including 6 in a row from the free throw line.
Jackrabbits now with what looks like a 2-2-1 zone trap. Sioux working beautifully, though. Get the ball to the middle. Now to Aaron Harris. Stops, fires, no good. Sonat there for the board. It's got to go in, and it counts. The foul is on Jorgensen. And Phil Jorgensen at 6 feet tall trying to block the shot of John Sonat. When he reached up, all he got was arm.
Sonat is what, 6'8", something like that?
6'8", and a junior.
He's got 8 points from the bench.
He has really helped keep North Dakota in this game.
In fact, if he makes this, he'll be the leading scorer for the Sioux in this ball game.
And he does. 9 points for John Sonat. 41-38. Pressure on Lingenfelder. Has to muscle his way to McDonald. Up ahead to Winsenberg. To Jorgensen. High cross court, John Brown. That's just his range, but it's not going to go this time. To Sioux battling for the ball. Clausen says, all right, Aaron, I'll let you have it. Harris now with McDonald all over him. Bounces back to Moe. Around the perimeter. Harris penetrates. Shot way short. Rebound stolen away. Brown stole it from Clausen, and a foul is called on Iverson.
John Brown just went right between Clausen and Iverson. They had position. Looked like they were going to get the offensive board and a chance to score, but John Brown went right between them and was able to come up with that ball.
41-38. It is the third team foul on North Dakota. Jacks have committed 1.
And Iverson gets his, that's the first
right.
Far, Tom?
First foul. See, we got to get the Jim Iverson story in here before this ball game is over.
Yeah, you'll get it.
Promised everybody we'd have it. Turn around, Lingenfelder put a little too hard. Tap for the Sioux. They cannot save it.
I think Lingenfelder's shot was partially deflected as it went on the way, a little flat.
So the Sioux will play it in. Oh, the Jacks will play it in, rather. Paul McDonald.
Yeah, just a 3-point lead right now. They've led by as much as 7, trailed by as much as 4.
You get that feeling it's going to be that close all the way? You just have that feeling. John Brown on the dribble gives to Lingenfelder.
Especially if Augustana beats North Dakota State, that would be a big win for whichever team wins here tonight. Would really help their standings in the NCC, obviously.
Underneath, Winsenberg gives to Lingenfelder, and he rams it home. Steve Lingenfelder with a ram jam makes it 43-38, and Winsenberg set him up beautifully for that one.
Got everybody off their feet. Steve came sliding in, and Winsenberg puts it right down on him.
And a foul on Winsenberg away from the ball.
Against Clausen, apparently. Now they're moving a little bit under there.
Boy, they're doing some battling underneath. Second foul on Winsenberg. Still pointing at himself. Me? Well, it's kind of hard when push comes to shove.
They'll do both.
Yes. Moe goes high in the air to grab that one down. Aaron Harris to Moe again. Underneath, Sonat rolling, hook shot, no good. Clausen with the board, nobody going to stop him. He's going to score.
You've got to almost let him have that, otherwise a three-point play. That's what happened to Lingenfelder on his third foul in that first half.
You saw Lingenfelder just back off as if to say, all right, Big Dan, you got the board, you earned this one. Underneath, McDonald will hook it up, it is good! Well, I've never seen the hook shot in McDonald's repertoire, but there's always the first time.
He's watching Clausen or Sonat. Besides, I can do that one, too.
14 points for McDonald. Underneath, Sonat falls away. No good. Tip try, no good. And Jorgensen comes out of there with it. On the dribble, goes behind the back. Gives to McDonald. Cross-court Winsenberg. He's got time to set up, and he will miss it. Rebound, Aaron Harris. The Sioux want to run.
And they do.
4 on 3. And we have got an offensive foul on Aaron Harris.
Uh-oh, and he's unhappy about that one.
Boy, you saw his reaction. Take a look at his face. Oh, Aaron Harris is displeased. Well, and we got a timeout on the floor. It's wanted by North Dakota. Dave Gunther is going to have a couple words with the official. 15:42 to go in the game. It's 45 for the Jacks and 40 for the Sioux. Okay.
All right. When was it, last year? Come on, Rob, don't run. What did he do, get up?
Well, we're back here at Frost Arena, and Dave Gunther has had his speech. There's Rob Hayner, former Jackrabbit standout, who's in the crowd tonight.
Enjoying the ball game.
In his home area in Omaha.
He was intense watching their pregame warm-ups, Tom. I had a chance to watch the camera. Steve got the camera right on him, and it was an intense Rob Hayner who was watching the warm-ups prior to this tip-off.
Now the crowd begins to pick up the clapping chant. Here's John Brown. Took a look at Lingenfelder underneath, decided not to. McDonald will. Good! What a game he's having.
16 points for Paulie.
McDonald's getting them from inside out, free throw line everywhere. 16 for him. He's putting together 2 great back-to-back nights in crucial games for South Dakota State.
Had 23 last night in that big win over North Dakota State.
Harris will let her fly, no good. He's fouled by McDonald. Foul is the first foul on Paul McDonald.
Well, that's helpful. You need a playmaker like him, and of course he's moved from his customary guard position to playing forward, which has allowed Phil Jorgensen to move into the lineup.
There's Gene Salker. Yes, well, we haven't seen him sit down all night, have we?
Well, no, I don't think they saved a chair for him. I think he's got a knee pad there.
Harris's free throw is good. 3 points for Aaron Harris.
Aaron Harris hit one of the first field goals of the ball game, and that's the first time he's scored since then. It's been almost 20 minutes.
This one is in and out, no good. Now McDonald gives to Winsenberg. Up to Jorgensen. They'll let him shoot it. He misses. Jack's a little colder in this second half. Out of bounds, last touch by Brown. Clausen put a big paw up, tried to swat that thing. What he did was swat it off John Brown and out of bounds. So Harris comes up. Sioux trailing by 6. Penetrates, shoots, short, no good. Ball tapped up in the air. Jackson got a break going. They've got it ahead to John Brown. Jorgensen screens the defense, and Brown scores.
8 points for Johnny Brown.
And an excellent job by Jorgensen to screen the defender away.
Yeah, that can be an assist for Phil, though he never touched the ball. Good job. 14:36 remaining in the game. Jacks by 8, biggest lead of the night.
Doug Moe gets it.
Well, Moe hasn't scored for a while either, Tom, but that's his 4th from out that side.
One very fine shooter is Doug Moe. He won the Clem Liddy Tussle Award last year, and he is also a pre-med major.
Brother plays at Concordia College.
Right. Lingenfelder again! Boy, that was the power stuff. He took the backboard and just shook it.
14 points for Steve Lingenfelder. He and McDonald have 30 together.
Nothing can fire up a crowd like a good, strong dunk, and you can smell that one. Shot by Sonat, it won't stay. Whoa, Lingenfelder! Like an avenging angel flying through the lane and pulling the board down. An 8-point lead for the Rabbits. Jorgensen gives to Winsenberg, and he threw it away.
I don't think Lingenfelder was expected to get that, and I don't think Steve was quite ready for it as the pass from Winsenberg was right into the hands of Doug Moe.
Dave Gunther up off the bench saying, slow it down, slow it down. Clausen working on Winsenberg in the lane, puts it up. He spent too much time in the lane.
Made the basket. That was for Jack fans, that was a narrow call because they thought for a minute it might be a three-point opportunity because he made the basket.
And a possible fourth foul on Lingenfelder.
That's right. It was not to be, however. Jackrabbit fans breathe a sigh of relief. The 3-second violation, and the Jacks, with 13.5 minutes to play in the game, could go up by 10.
Jorgensen, Brown, Winsenberg. Cross to Brown, underneath to Lingenfelder, working on Clausen. Clausen's not about to give that baseline. Gets it back out to Brown. Up top, Winsenberg. To McDonald. Here's that rolling shot again. We got a foul. Foul is called on
Iverson, is it?
Sonat, I believe. Let's wait and see. Yep. Foul is called on John Sonat, number 45. That is his third.
Well, he's had lots of opportunity coming in and to replace Dan Clausen. He's picked up 9 points, and now his third foul.
13 minutes and 3 seconds to go in this game. McDonald.
7 in a row from the free throw line to go with 5 field goals.
Like he's shooting them in the backyard. 52-43. He can give the Jacks their biggest lead if he can get this one. He's got it.
Of course.
A 10-point lead, 18 points for Paul McDonald.
That's like a gimme 2-inch punt for Jack Nicklaus when he goes to the free throw line, it seems like.
Rod Merriam back in the game now, number 15.
Jim Going getting set to come in for the Jacks.
Moe again from the corner. Hits 10 points for Doug Moe, the senior from East High School in Duluth, Minnesota. Sioux try a little double teaming. Brown lays it up for Lingenfelder. Has to get rid of it. Back to McDonald. Across to Brown. He is open from 17 feet. No good. Tipped by Lingenfelder. Ball knocked out of bounds by Sonat.
Going is coming into the ball game now, and they're going to give Lingenfelder a break with 12.5 minutes remaining.
Boy,
and the crowd very
crowd.
appreciative of the game that he has played.
They are up and standing for Steve Lingenfelder. He had a couple of dunks in this half that rocked this crowd. McDonald gives to Winsenberg. Up, no good. Going, tip, no good. Battling for the board. He's going to get it. He lost it to Merriam. Jackrabbit, the partisans wanted a foul.
Well, it's still an 8-point game. Psychologically, that was an important one for the Sioux, but now, what is it going to be? A
foul on McDonald.
Looks like it might have been offensive on Clausen, but McDonald draws it. That's the second on Paul.
And every time McDonald has picked up a foul, somehow he's ended up on the ground.
He slipped.
Could have been an unusual spot to pick up fouls.
12 minutes, 14 seconds to play in the game. The Jacks' biggest lead, 53-45.
Moe set to play it inbound.
Except for Lingenfelder's 3 fouls, nobody's in any real trouble for the Jacks.
Inside, turnaround, Iverson, no good. Kept alive by Clausen. He's going to get fouled. He was hung on.
Was it Brown?
Somebody hung on him.
There was a bunch of them in there.
Not a bad foul for John Brown. It's his first, and that would have been an easy 2 for Dan Clausen.
Yeah, he's going to have to earn them now. That's the exception to the foul problem, of course, when you don't want to give him the 3-point play, but John fouled him before he could get the shot away, and so he's going to have to earn his 2 points.
He literally hung on to his arms for dear life. And the thing about it is, Clausen just about picked him up and took him to the basket with him.
What happens if an opposing player goes through the bucket?
Dan Clausen, a transfer from Creighton, and what a valuable addition he has been to this Sioux team.
That's his 8th point of the ball game.
He's well below his seasonal scoring average of 18. Lingenfelder, after a brief rest, is going to come back in for stage, and Going is going to come out.
Well, you can see by the sweat glistening on his shoulders just how hard Dan Clausen has played this contest. He gets his 9th point with 12 minutes to play, and it's a 6-point deficit now for the Sioux.
Sioux have it down to 6. Lingenfelder gets it to Brown. Now they got a 3-on-2 fast break. Jorgensen stops. Shot good. Jackrabbit turned the pressure into points.
7 points
for Bill Jorgensen. 55-47, 11:45 to go. Clausen, a little bit out of his range there. Inside Sonat, that's well within his, and he'll hit it.
11 points now for John, and he becomes the leading scorer for the Sioux off the bench.
He has played very well tonight. Again, the 6-point lead, 55-49. McDonald on the dribble. Tests the baseline waters. Decides it's a bit too hot for him there. Jorgensen. Underneath, Brown. Back up top to McDonald. Back to John Brown. Mo's going to have to come out on him a little bit, respecting his shooting.
He's missed his last 3, however, from there after making 3 in a row.
McDonald working, gets by one man, gets Clausen to foul him.
And he's on the floor again.
On the floor again.
McDonald's on the floor, whether he's fouled or fouling.
Whether he is the fouler or the foulee, huh? Say, boys, don't do that. Now you're on Statewide TV.
They must be Jackrabbit fans and feeling their oats here a little bit.
Mark Jelasic, the enforcer, is going to come back in for North Dakota.
Clausen comes out.
11:06 picked up
left.
his 3rd foul there.
And again, guess who's at the line?
Mr. Automatic. Well, I'll just put the whammy on him now. We have him for 18 points.
Yep.
Free throw is no good.
I told you. Why do you mention that all the time?
Gotta put the whammy on him. Every time you say something about it, he doesn't miss many.
Well, he's 8 out of 9.
Now he's 9 out of 10. He is now, see, he was 40 of 45 going into last night. I'm not sure exactly what he did from the line last night, but he is right up there near the top in free throw shooting percentage. He has shot way more free throws than anybody else, too. Here's Mo, gunning, good, it counts, and Jorgensen's going to get the foul.
That's 12 points for Doug Moe, and none of them have been easy.
Jorgensen's outside shooting and the inside play of Sona have been the difference in keeping North Dakota close.
Those two have 23 of the 51 points, but they've gotten some help. Bakken with 8, Clausen with 9.
Winzenberg comes back in.
The Jacks have also had pretty balanced scoring. 19 for McDonald, 14 for Lingenfelder, 8 each for Brown and Winzenberg, and 7 for Jorgensen.
And Mo's got the three-point play. 13 points for him now, and the Sioux are back to within 4.
Well, moments ago, it could have been a 10-point contest.
Jorgensen up quickly to Winzenberg. And the Jackrabbits are going to call a timeout. With 10 minutes and 44 seconds to go, it is everything we expected and more. South Dakota State leading the University of North Dakota 56-52. Get a shot at number 35. I got to tell my Jim Iverson story before I bust. North Dakota green.
They're the ones in green. 25.
If he's in, I don't even know if he's in now.
Well, we need to give some credit to some of the people who have made this ball game possible, as well as Tom and I, and that's the camera people, and we've been talking about them throughout this ball game, but Paul Thorstensen and Pete Royer and Steve Szymanski, we appreciate the camera work, and it's been difficult in this fast-moving contest. Of course, Pete Eggert, our director, has been keeping things moving, and we appreciate all of that. Jerry Jorgensen on the audio.
Folks ought to spend a little time behind the scenes sometime. It's awful easy for us to sit up here and do it.
We need to mention that. Need to mention that now, because I'm sure this game is going to go right down to the wire, and good intentions notwithstanding, we may miss it.
So now the North Dakota Sioux cheerleaders pick up the chant a little bit across the way. Winzenberg is open. His shot is good. First point of the second half. 10th point of the game for Bob Winzenberg. And Ron Lenz comes bearing news. 5,168 in attendance here in the Port Classic. So not falling away. This time it won't stay. McDonald with a rebound. Thought he was coming with the North Dakota State Augie score.
Nice play for Jorgensen. He almost lost that one.
Lingenfelder rolling the lane. Good. Lingenfelder with 9 points this half, 16 for the game. 60-52, just past the 10-minute mark. The Sioux with Mo taking a screen from Sona, shooting no good. Now the Sioux are becoming a little bit cold for the field. Brown leads the fast break, 3-on-2. Jorgensen had Lingenfelder for a moment, and we got what? 3 seconds. Called on Lingenfelder.
Well, he must have pitched a 10 in there. The official very definite about the call. 9:45 remaining.
There's Dave Gunther. He was an All-American at the University of Iowa. Team captain, team most valuable player in the late 50s for the great Iowa teams of that period. Harris with a clean shot to the hole, and he's got it.
5 points for Aaron Harris, Tom, and again, that's his first field goal since the opening minutes of the contest. He's not gone to the basket well. In fact, he's not really been very evident even defensively.
Jorgensen Now to McDonald, now to John Brown. He will fire. He will hit it. Well, John Brown is a bit of a scoring drought for him.
Fourth player to go into double figures for the Jacks, led by McDonald's 19.
Again, the 8-point lead for State, 62-54. The high lob can't hang on. Is Bakken, who checked back in during the timeout. He's not quite warmed up enough yet for that kind of play. Jorgensen took a good long look at that one, decided not to. Now here's McDonald. Look at the double team low on Winsenberg. Now the double team, when the ball comes on this side, will come to Lingenfelder. Double team in the low post.
McDonald looks for somebody in the corner, and Brown will get in there and get it for him.
McDonald will fire. Good! Boy, what a night. What a night. 21 points for McDonald. Still 8.5 minutes to go, and the Rabbits have equaled their biggest lead at 10 points.
Well, you can see I don't know what the capacity is here, but over 5,100 people, and they're all appreciative of the way things are going tonight, no matter whose side they're on.
Aaron Harris misses. Brown with the board. We've got a 4-on-2 fast break. He gets to Jorgensen, and he's good! Jorgensen hits on a beautifully designed fast break. For Bill Jorgensen, it is his 9th point. Biggest lead, a dozen. The crowd will rise to their feet. Dave Gunther will call a timeout. With 8:03 to go, the Jackrabbit machine is rolling. They lead the Sioux by a dozen, 66-54.
There's what's his name? Iverson.
Guy with his short hair.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got him from the wrong camera. Get him from above. Oh, where do you get? You don't have a camera here. Get one from the crow's nest if you can.
You see the guy in the North Dakota huddle with the short hair there, number 35. His name is Jim Iverson. He only has 4 points in the game tonight. Has not scored in the second half. Got an interesting story about his hometown. Soldiers Grove, Wisconsin is where he's from. 7 times in the last 60 years, Soldiers Grove has been flooded. Well, they talked about moving the town to higher ground, talked about it. They flooded again this year, so they moved the entire town of Soldiers Grove, Wisconsin, where that young man is from, all 611 people up to higher ground.
They waited.
See that in this week's issue of Time magazine.
Waited for you there before they put it into
boy, Time. Doug Moe with Brown all over it, misses. Foul on the board.
Lingenfelder 4.
It's on Steve Lingenfelder, I think. Let's wait and see. We haven't had a... Yep, 5-0, says the official. That is 4 on Steve Lingenfelder.
And crucial with 7:52 to play in the game and a 12-point lead for the Jacks.
And they are going to bring in Oblet and save Lingenfelder for the last couple minutes. Well, now's not a bad time to rest the big guy with a 12-point lead.
He's got 16 points. That's well below his season average of 27. Last night he scored 17 points and was out on foul.
You see, Gene Zolk is no small man himself at about 6'5", and Lingenfelder just towers over him at 6'9". Last night had a scout from the Detroit Pistons here looking at Steve Lingenfelder. There have been several professional scouts eyeing him as we eye Todd Bakken. His free throw won't settle in. Rebound to Brian Oblet. The NCC Academic Player of the Year is Brian Oblet with a straight 4 points in pre-med.
I think Ron Iverson was telling me that the entire basketball team has a grade point average of 3.1 this season, collectively.
Unbelievable. Brown penetrates, gives off beautifully. Oblet misses. It goes out of bounds.
Belongs to State, but Omlin was too open. Beautiful play by Brown.
Brown penetrated, did his job, and Omlin missed the gimme.
The young lady you just saw on your screen a moment ago was from the University of North Dakota, looking hopeful, and yet time running out on the Sioux with a 12-point deficit and 7.5 minutes to play.
Omlin has problems getting it off to Brown, now gets it back. Get rid of it, that away.
Well, that's a sign of a team that's winning, of course, when you can do something like that and still retain possession. That's exactly what the Jacks did.
Jackrabbit's going to run a little time off the clock now. Spread the offense out, go for a real good shot. Playing North Dakota's game, but the Sioux will steal it.
Bad pass.
Ahead it goes. Iverson. Crowd thought he walked. Clausen gives to Bakken. Clock now less than 7 minutes to go. Bakken spins.
Nice
a beautiful move, and he hits it.
He goes into double figures, Tom. That's the third North Dakota Sioux to hit that mark.
66-56, a 10-point lead for State.
Good dribble behind his back by Jorgensen to get around Harris and beat the time clock.
Here's McDonald back out to Jorgensen. State's going to call a timeout. I think they want to put the ball in somewhat of a freeze, but they're not exactly how they want to do it. So they're going to spend a timeout to talk that over. 6:38 to go in the game. State has a 10-point lead over North Dakota. All right.
Got it.
Should we explain why we don't have the USD State game on? I'm sure there are a lot of people wondering about it.
Why don't I go through? I'll go through this, and then you take care. Again, a reminder here on your South Dakota Public Television that you'll be watching on February 7th, a Saturday, a men's game between the University of Northern Colorado and South Dakota State on South Dakota Public TV, 10:30 p.m. Central Time on a Saturday night. Then on the 14th of February, Valentine's Day doubleheader. Women's game at 9, Nebraska and USD, and the men's game Morningside and USD. That's on February 14th, 9 and 10:30 p.m. that Saturday. UNC and USD February 21st for a third men's game.
Jackrabbits have decided to bring Steve Lingenfelder back in the game. 6.5 minutes to go. Should explain, too, we are not having the State U game on from the Dome Saturday. McDonald gives it off, but we had a foul ahead of it.
Who's it on, Harris?
Well, looked like we had a double foul, maybe.
Maybe somebody playing a little too tight on each other here.
Well, we'll wait and see. He pointed like jump ball, which would only indicate to me it's got to be a double foul.
Well, we'll see here in a moment.
Yep,
yes.
Double fouls.
Harris and Jorgensen get it.
Okay, battling away from the ball.
10-point lead for the Jackrabbits, 6 minutes and 24 seconds remaining in the ball game, and I'll tell you, a lot of things can happen between now and then. We're waiting for that Augustana North Dakota State score, and right now, Tom is trying to come up with that for us.
Boy, it's a barn burner in the arena. 81-80, North Dakota State is leading in overtime with 2.5 minutes to go.
Boy, they went into another overtime.
Boy, that would be like Christmas a couple weeks late. For State, give off to Lingenfelder. He's fouled, and that's all for Bakken. Bakken picks up his 5th foul. He had to come back and help out on Lingenfelder.
He heads immediately to the shower.
Yeah, he knew that was it for him.
Via the bench.
He leaves with 6 minutes and 12 seconds to go to Todd Bakken. He scored 10 points tonight for the Sioux.
Well, that could help the Jackrabbit cause, although remember, Steve Lingenfelder is also playing in foul difficulty with 4, along with 16 points. The Jacks have 4 players in double figures, and Phil Jorgensen almost there with 9.
There's Todd Bakken. There's Steve Lingenfelder. He's at the free throw line to shoot 1 and 1. It's up. It's good. Lingenfelder has 10 points in his half. 17 for the game.
And he's matched last night's scoring.
Senior from Thomas Jefferson High School in Bloomington, Minnesota. Second one is good. He, of course, transferred to State from Minnesota. And Lingenfelder's going to get a little rest now. Going is going to come in. Again, a fine round of applause for Steve Lingenfelder. He started a couple games for the Gophers, and Michael Thompson set out the suspension for the ticket-selling thing that went on up there. 7 or 8 games or whatever the suspension was.
Boy, speaking of ticket selling, that Super Bowl really has got a lot of that, haven't it?
Big rolling hook by Clausen. He has been held pretty well in check. He now has 11 points. We're saying we're not having the State U game on next week. Inside going, stop, and is fouled. Up he travels. 68-58.
What's the reason?
That's part of the North Dakota girls game. Well, I don't know if I could give you an exact reason. I guess that the University of South Dakota just does not want to put it on. And if you have any comments, drop them a line, folks. It's not our fault. Don't blame us.
So our next game is February 7th, UNC in South Dakota State. Here at Frost Arena, it'll be on at 10:30 Central Time on that Saturday night over your South Dakota Public Television stations. And
one of State's cheerleaders there. I would dearly love to be in the Dome for that game. Iverson set to play it in. Does so to Sonat. Sonat into Clausen.
Oh.
Another big rolling hook shot. This time it won't go, and he's going to get a foul. His 4th.
uh-oh.
So now Lingenfelder and Clausen each with 4 fouls. Bakken has already departed.
10 points can evaporate quickly in 5.5 minutes. There's no question about that, as we saw in the women's game preceding this. Won, if you haven't heard it, by the South Dakota State women. I don't remember the final score, but
71.
It was a pretty big score, although it came to within 9 points late in the ball game. UND lost it.
Free throw by Winselberg. No good. John Brown with the board. Lost it. Iverson tried to save it, and we got a foul called on Brown.
Trying to get it back.
I think he tried to trip up Miriam. As Miriam was scurrying for the ball, Miriam came over to offer a hand. Brown says, no thanks, I'm not quite ready to get up yet.
Is that only his first foul? No, it's got to be more
foul.
Yeah, the board shows 1, but I know he got another one earlier on Clausen.
Rod Miriam will be at the free throw line.
Going is out now.
Lingenfelder comes back in. For Jim Going, it's been like a revolving door tonight. In for a minute and out. In for a minute and out.
If that had been Tom Maxwell, he would have said Going is gone. But you noticed how I ran away from that.
Yes,
line.
I see. You set me up good for that one. Miriam with his first point of the second half. He has 5 for the game now. Second one short. Rebound Clausen in the lane. Shot is no good. Tip try. Sonat no good. Finally Lingenfelder takes control of the middle. Brown quickly ahead to McDonald. Nobody's going to pick him up. Paul will fire. Good.
Well, he's matched last night's performance now, Tom, with 5 minutes to play. That's his 23rd point of the night.
23 points for Paul McDonald. Harris penetrates and hits it. He is an excellent penetrator. He can get that ball inside. His 5th point of the half, 7 on the game for Aaron Harris. 70-61. We just passed the 5-minute mark to go. Here's John Brown, taking it baseline, lays it back for Lingenfelder. Has to do a little work to get control of it.
Crowd applauds his dribbling.
Jorgensen lays it down in the corner for Brown. Inside, McDonald gives it back instead. Back to Lingenfelder. He got Clausen up, but oh, did he take a nasty spill. Lingenfelder got Clausen up in the air, and Clausen really took a hard spill. You could hear that thump.
And Rod Merriam is restraining him, if you can believe it. Rod is only about 5'10".
Clausen might have the feeling that Lingenfelder took him for a ride on that one. Got him up, and it just kind of spun him around a little bit. In any event, that should be it for Clausen.
He is not pleased, I can
Boy,
guarantee.
you can hear that thump all the way to Watertown. He's gone.
He rode on his back for quite a while, and again, Lingenfelder realized Clausen is just too big to ignore, and he knew he was there. And even though Steve Lingenfelder is also very big, he wasn't going to be trying to go head-to-head with him because Ling also has 4 fouls, and he didn't want to be charging. So he was turning, I think, trying to get out of the way and get a clear shot at the bucket, and that's what caused the foul. Not on Lingenfelder, on Clausen.
Still murmuring about that. There's Clausen. That's got to hurt. He came down flat on his back.
Well, that's got to hurt him, boy. I'll tell you, they've lost Bakken and Clausen. They're big rebounders. The two of them have averaged 32 points a game and 20 rebounds.
Lingenfelder misses the free throw. Jelassic in there to get the rebound. Gives to Miriam. The Sioux now in need of a basket or two here. They're hoping to get back into the game. They don't want to wait too long. Falling off balance, Iverson, no good. Lingenfelder almost tipped it in. Sonat got it and scored.
Well, that was a break for the Sioux that time.
Persistence. 13 points for John Sonat, 70-63.
He's the leading scorer. Well, he and Doug Moe with 13 each to lead the Sioux in scoring.
Now the Jackrabbits are going to run through the offense.
We're coming up on the 4-minute mark.
Bill Jorgensen in trouble. Gives to Winsenberg. Has it knocked out of bounds? Foul on Aaron Harris.
Well, they got to try something like that again at this point in the ball game, Tom. That's the 3rd foul on Aaron Harris, but they really desperately now need to get the ball back. A 7-point deficit, and they need the momentum on their side. Not so much, though, obviously they need the points, but psychologically they need to find out that they need to feel that they can come back with their 2 big men, Clausen and Bakken, on the bench with fouls.
Winsenberg hits the free throw. That's 11 points. He's just a couple off his game average, 13. And he has a dozen. And the Jackrabbit lead now is 9, 72-63. Past the 4-minute mark. Miriam to Iverson. Way short, no good. The Sioux save it right into the hands of Jorgensen. Now he'll go behind the back, trying to elude Aaron Harris. Up to Brown out of Winsenberg. Laid across court for McDonald. Took a look. Decided that discretion is a better part of valor.
3.5 minutes left in the game.
This is McDonald on Jelassic. Lingenfelder, he missed the stuff.
Well, he had a couple
Somebody
of people
got a hand on the ball. If not, he'd have brought the house down again. Harris off balance, way short again. The Sioux not being very selective now. At a key point in the game, they're going to be getting much better shots than that.
I think that Dave Gunther agrees with you, Tom. He's off the bench. Of course, he's had a sour look most of the night, so I don't know if that was more sour than others.
Down by 9 points. You got to hope for a little bit better shot at the hole in that. Jorgensen penetrates left hand. Wonderful play. What a great move by Joe Jorgensen.
He goes into double figures, the 5th player for the Jacks to go into double figures tonight.
And the Sioux have called a timeout with 2 minutes and 54 seconds to go. The Rabbits hold what looks like a comfortable 11-point 74 to 63 lead. We're coming right back. Nice move. Beautiful.
That's Jorgensen.
He's going to be a great one.
Look at this. 11, 10, 23, 12, 18. In fact, if Harris keeps going to the basket, he could get into double figures and have 10 players.
There's a look at the fans on their feet, standing, cheering along with the school song. The Jackrabbits have opened up a 74 to 63 lead, and the last couple trips down the floor, the Sioux have not been wise in their shot selection. And in this end, what could prove to be a very big play in the game, Jorgensen spread the offense out. Nobody really fully picked him up, and he left-handed it up and in off the glass when Dave Gunther called timeout immediately.
5 players for the Jacks in double figures. Jorgensen with 11, Brown with 10, McDonald 23, Winsenberg 12, and Lingenfelder 18. That's pretty hard to guard.
Here's Miriam from the top of the key. No good. Winsenberg with the board.
Again, they did not use the good shot selection, although Rod Merriam's a good outside shooter. He's not been in doing that kind of shooting, so he's got to be cold from out there.
John Brown gives to Lingenfelder. Stops, maneuver, scores. And the Rabbits are throwing wood on the fire now.
20 points for Kingling.
76-63. Shot is no good. Foul. As JB, John Brown, will pick up the foul. 3rd foul against John Brown. Might have heard a little editorial comment there underneath the... There's Johnny Brown.
Speaking of being underneath the basket, where is our super fan Craig Dershide? I haven't seen him.
Oh, they had him on before.
Oh, did they? I always
North Dakota State has held off Augustana in overtime to beat the Vikings 86-84. I'll tell you, Lady Luck is riding in the back seat of the North Dakota State bus. They picked up a big win down at Morningside. Very similarly. Free throw by Mo's good. One of them anyway. 76-64. North Dakota understandably pressuring the inbounds. Now we got a 3-on-1 across the Winsenberg. No good. Yes, it is. I spoke too soon as the ball looked like it was coming out. 10, 12, 14 points for Bob Winsenberg. Aaron Harris, baseline. Lingenfelder tries to block. Made Harris put it up too high. Jorgensen with a rebound. And we've got a foul called on Jelassic. His 2nd foul. So the 78-64 score, things beginning to look a little bit rosier. For a 5-2 mark for the Jackrabbits in the NCC, this will, if the score should hold, as the free throw by Jorgensen is good, North Dakota U would go to 4-2. North Dakota State is at 5-1. They'll be on top of the conference depending how Morningside did at UNO tonight. Bill Jorgensen gets them both.
Would leave the Jacks a half game out, despite what Morningside does. And
right.
If Morningside should lose, the Jacks would be all alone in 2nd place, 1 half game behind North Dakota State. Jacks might have been in 1st place tonight if Morningside loses, but not to be.
Donut is fouled at the free throw line. That one's on McDonald. That's the 3rd on Paul McDonald.
Well, with exactly 2 minutes to play in this basketball game. In the preceding contest, I don't know if you were counting or not, but about 21 minutes it took from the 2-minute mark to the end in the women's game, won by South Dakota State.
I remember it well.
And I'll tell you now, with the Jacks up by 16, this has gone just the other way. They have a narrow win, looked like going earlier, and now they're right down to the wire, and they've got a big margin.
Don Sonot has had a good night.
He and Moe with 14 points each to lead the Sioux in scoring. Now 15 for Sonat.
John Sonat has 15 points.
That comes on a 5.3 average. That doesn't hurt anything.
80-66. Jorgensen drives, shoots again, and scores.
That's 15.
He is not a bit afraid to take that ball to the hole.
That's 10 points in the second half, Tom.
Boy, and you work like crazy on one end of the floor to get it, and Jorgensen comes right back and scores a layup on you. Harris driving, giving off. He was fouled on his way.
Who was it?
Winsenberg. Third foul on Bob Winsenberg.
Well, remember, it's Super Sunday tomorrow. We hope that wherever you are, wherever you're going, you will drive carefully and cheer for Philadelphia. No.
Now, we've already given our picks for the Super Bowl. I want Philadelphia to win, but I got the sneaking suspicion that Oakland, as we said in the girls' game, is a team of destiny. It's going to be close.
Aaron Harris now has 8 points, Tom, and 9, and if he gets one more, that'll put 10 players total in double figures. That's a pretty healthy margin, I'd say.
82-68 with 1:40 to go. And now the Jackrabbits are going to hang on and shoot free throws for the rest of the night. McDonald, they're looking to get Lingenfelder open underneath. He is dangerously wide open, and if he can get another dunk, this place will come down. Lingenfelder has the ball on the wing. Now goes back out front to Jorgensen. He's fouled by Merriam.
Rod reaching for the ball did not necessarily want to foul that time. There you see Mr. Basketball in South Dakota high school circles last year when playing for Huron High School. What caused him to go out of state, Tom? You had a chance to talk to Rod?
Well, I think way back in high school, he kind of liked the style that Dave Gunther uses at North Dakota. I do not think, honestly speaking, he was heavily recruited by the South Dakota schools. We've got a rebounding foul, I do believe. What do we have? Well,
I don't know what it was.
It was a two-shot foul is what it was. They gave him 2 on that.
Well, Doug Moe comes out of the ball game. And a couple of changes here for the Sioux. Dwayne Morris has come in, and also Steve Kahn.
Dwayne Morris, number 11, at one time was the starter.
Hey.
UNO in overtime. Well, 3:50 to go in overtime. Leading Morningside by 6.
70-64. So if Morningside loses, that puts the
Jackrabbits at second all by themselves. Jorgensen's second one is good. Fine night for Phil.
16 points for Phil, getting a chance to get back into the starting lineup.
Now all we're going to do is decide a final score. Shot by Aaron Harris is good. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 11 points for Aaron Harris.
5 players on each side in double-figure scoring. Very balanced on both ends. And there's a
traveling
call, yeah. Here comes another change for Dave Gunther's lineup. He brings in Mark Thiessen from Elgin, Illinois.
He's 6'11".
Just a sophomore. Sonat comes out.
Shooting is Dwayne Morris. No good. Lingenfelder rebound. Outlet to Brown. Brown is going to try to lay it up for Winsenberg, but it is stolen by Dwayne Morris. Here comes Morris on the dribble. Gives to Harris. He drives baseline, gets in close, and scores. So he's going to pick up a bunch here down the stretch. 83-72. Jackrabbits losing the basketball as
John Brown says, what do you got to do to get a foul in this league, Coach?
Aaron Harris scores. It's going to count, and the foul is going to be called on, well, let's see who it's on. It is on number 21
Steve
for
Kahn,
North Dakota.
Grand Forks, North Dakota. Freshman. Basket for Harris.
So for Aaron Harris, that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 points in this half, 15 for the game.
He and John Sonat leading scorers for the Sioux, 14 by Doug Moe. Already on the bench with fouls, Dan Clausen with 11, and Todd Bakken with 10. Well, there's part of the, we've seen some of the student population. There's some of the adults who are here watching this ball game and enjoying it immensely, especially when they are cheering for the Jackrabbits.
Free throw is good for McDonald. Just shakes his head. There's a smile on his face, saying, boy, when things are going right, you get the nice rolls to boot. 24 for McDonald.
14 in the second half.
Nice round figure, 25 points in a night for Paul McDonald, 85-74.
Gives him 48 points against these two leading teams in the North Central Conference on 2 straight nights. That's not too bad a production.
Harris again looking to penetrate. Gives it off to Plastic. He traveled.
I think.
Yeah, he took steps with the ball. So as a result of tonight's action, it looks like North Dakota State will sit alone unless, of course, Morningside can come back, and I'm not discounting that possibility whatsoever. But they're down by 6 in OT. Winzenberg's going to bring it out. He's going to give it to Jorgensen. They're going to tick off the clock, and the crowd will pick up the chant very quickly. 6 seconds. 5. McDonald is fouled by Steve Kahn.
From Grand Forks, North Dakota. He's just a freshman. Well, Dave Gunther looks like he's got a pretty good crew ready to come back again next year.
His dad is stationed at the Air Force Base in Grand Forks. Paul McDonald at the free throw line.
With just 5 seconds to play, the final score is all that's in question.
26 points for McDonald. 16 of them in this half, and he has got a bunch from the free throw line. Jackrabbits going to take everybody out of the lane now as the congratulations begin for the South Dakota State Jackrabbits, picking up a couple of big wins this weekend at home. McDonald finishes with 27 points. Up to Thiessen, cross to Lingenfelder. 2, he sends one up at the horn, short, and this game is history. It is all over as Scholastic Rifles went into the crowd. Final 87-74. While I compile my final stats, Jim, your thoughts on the game?
Well, this was quite a ball game. Of course, we thought early in the game that it was going to be a bad one for State because Steve Lingenfelder picked up his 3rd foul early in that first half. And it looked like maybe they were going to intimidate him down the way. Clausen was playing well. They were hitting well from outside. And it seemed to be a real game of switching momentum because there for a while near the end of the first half, it looked like the Jacks, despite Lingenfelder's fouls, were going to be able to pull away. They got up by 7, 36-29. Then they gave up 4 straight points, including one right near the buzzer. They went to the locker room 36-33. They never again trailed in the game, although UND was able to come to within 1 at 36-35. And the Jacks just kept pulling away little by little. Dan Clausen and Todd Bakken fouled out with 6 and 4 minutes respectively. They're ready to go, and so nobody for the Jacks ever did foul out, despite the fact that Lingenfelder didn't pick up his 4th foul. Balanced scoring for both sides. That's the way the game went.
Okay, let's look at the scoring of the game. First of all, for South Dakota State, a stellar performance. 50 points in 2 nights. 23 last night for Paul McDonald. 27 tonight. 20 for Steve Lingenfelder unofficially. 16 for Phil Jorgensen. 14 for Bob Winzenberg. 10 for John Brown. So everybody that scored double figures for South Dakota State. For North Dakota, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-minute double figures, as Jim told you. 15 for John Sonot, 15 for Aaron Harris, 14 for Doug Moe, 11 for Dan Clausen, 10 for Todd Bakken, 5 points for Rod Merriam, 4 points for Jim Iverson. No game next week, folks, but be back with us on the night of February 7th when Third Right and the Colorado Bears will be in town to play South Dakota State right here in Frost Arena.
Looking forward to it.
Women win 88-71. The final here, 87-74. The Jackrabbits go to 11-8, 5-2 in the North Central Conference. For Jim Thompson, this is Tom Maxwell. Good night, everybody.